Shalom, today is February 23rd. We're on day 506 of the war in Israel. And Israel as a nation is going through waves of sadness and joy. And after the phase of the dead, yesterday was the phase of the living. 6 live hostages were freed back to their families. Here we read, Chofshiyim, freed, from the word chofish, freedom. Here is Tal Shoham with one of his sons, and it says chofish, exclamation mark. This is a message from Tal. Ze metoraf, it is crazy. I like it how in the helicopters they're asked to write a message for the nation of Israel. And I'm reading, Tal Shoham was reunited with his wife and his 2 young children that were released in the first phase in 2023. Elia Cohen gila rak etmol. Elia Cohen learned just yesterday shechaverto, that his friend Ziv, his girlfriend, his fiancé actually, Ziv, survived the migunit mavet, the shelter of death, from where he was kidnapped. Many more were kidnapped and many were died there. So she was saved, and just yesterday, as he returned to Israel, he learned that his fiancé is alive. Ima ve'Abba, yadati shetavo lakachot oti. Ima and Abba, I knew you'll come get me, says Omer Shemtov, another freed hostage, when he hugged his parents. Omer Venekrat, that was held in a minhara, in a tunnel, since he was kidnapped, and he saw no day of light until the day of his release, is here coming out of the helicopter, amazed in what he sees, all the people that came to support him. Evra Mangiston and Hisham Asayed came home after a decade in Gaza captivity. And with this completion of the shichrur shel hachatufim, of the freedom of these live hostages, in the first stage of this large deal, Israel is getting ready for the negotiation for the second stage. The newspaper has 2 pages dedicated for every freed hostage, their families, their stories. It's really amazing. Let's go over a few, and then there are some more general, larger picture articles I think is important to share, and we'll learn about it together. Mechakim lekulam babayit. That's the name of the segment here. Mechakim lekulam, waiting for all at home. Abba chazar lenave v'yehel. Abba has returned to Nave and Yehel, meaning Nave and Yehel, his children. 505 days after he was kidnapped from Be'eri kibbutz, together with 6 more family members, Tal Shoham finally reunited with his wife and 2 younger children that were released. Tal's father, yesterday in the hostage square in Tel Aviv, says, looking in Tal's eyes shows us how worth it was, this fight to release the hostages, to release Tal. And he says, we will continue to fight until all of the hostages are back home. Here is Tal with his wife and his older kid. Here's Tal hugging, embracing his brother and sister. And here it reads, the circle of captivity is closed. Tal is back with his family. Next, Ahava shali atakan, my love, you are here. Elia and Ziv are meeting for the first time. And we remember Elia did not know his girlfriend, his fiancée, survived October 7th. Ani lo ma'amin shat b'chaim. I cannot believe that you're alive, he tells Ziv. Here we see him in Israel sending a heart to everybody with a big smile. He's giving a kiss to his mother here. Look how happy she is. This is in the helicopter. Well, welcome back, Elia Cohen. Next, Guy and Evra. There are 2 young men that are held in captivity, still in Hamas. They're 2 good friends, it says here. And yesterday, they were forced, hem ultsu, to watch the freedom ceremony yesterday, but they stay in captivity. They're saying this is another reminder for the abuse, the unconceivable abuse that Hamas does to our hostages that are held more than 500 days in Gaza. So Evyatar David and Guy Gilboa Dalal, they're supposed to return to Israel only in the next stage. They were brought to Nusirat to watch the ceremonies of Omer Shemtov, Omer Venekrat, and Elia Cohen yesterday. They were also filmed, and they cried out, help, Netanyahu, get us out, bring us back home, we want this to finish. Now we know that this is probably scripted, Hamas is telling them what to say, but this was also a sign of life to their families, and that's a good thing. The families are happy to see that they're alive because it was not certain. These guys were captured together from the Nova Festival on October 7th. Here they are before October 7th. Next hostage. I defeated the captivity. Hevasti et hashevi. And after a period of, it reads here, Gehenom, hell, in the Shevi. You know Shevi already. Shevi means captivity. Omer did not see the day of light. He was held deep in the tunnels. He was detached from any media. Omer Venokrat is back in the arms of the safe arms of his parents. And they're saying, Omer, you are at home. We are undefeatable. How do you say indefeatable? Undefeatable? We are not defeated. And in the helicopter on the way home, he writes, Achshav Tov, now it is good. Now to point out this picture, the welcome that Omer has back in his hometown, Gadera, dozens of people standing with the Israeli flags. His face is printed on posters. A large walkway poster is printed out saying, we have waited for your return. We've missed you very much. Next, Evra Mangisto. I'm quoting, Margia shu al raglaim. It is calming for us that he's on his legs. But it's clear to us, shehashikum, the rehabilitation, Yehiyeh Aroch, will be long. And more than 10 years, the family of Evra Mangisto was waiting to hug him. 10 years of a fight that brought nothing. It says, Lo nasa pri, was not fruitful. Yesterday, the family's dream came true. And in another despisable tekes, and another despisable ceremony that Hamas organized in Rafah, Evra Mangisto was released together next to Tal Shoham that was captured on October 7th. Evra deals with mental illness. His brother was killed in 2011, and in 3 years his situation got really worse. And in 2014, Evra crossed the border near Zikim into the Gaza Strip, and there he was captured, he was kidnapped. He's an Ethiopian Jew, and his family, especially his uncle, fought for a very long time for his release. And 2023 was the first sign of life, almost 10 years later, that Hamas shared of Evra. So we're happy he's back after a very long fight. His family says that his general situation is reasonable. V'nachnu modim, we thank all of the good people in Israel that were standing with us through all of these years. Ima, Abba, yadati shetavo lakachat oti. Mother, Father, I knew that you would come to get me. And this is Omer Shemtov. Look at his smile, so happy. Here's his mother. And his message is, Achshav hakol beseder. Now everything is good. The smiley face. Toda le'am Yisrael hayakar. Thank you to the dear nation of Israel and all the soldiers, female and male soldiers. Bali hamburger. I want a hamburger. Kama chalamti alechem, ein lechem musag. How much I've dreamt about you. You don't have any idea, says Omer with a smile and with a wide smile, it says here, and with tears, when Omer Shemtov meets his family after 505 days in hell. Omer in the ceremony also was forced to kiss the guard that kept him on his head. This was a demand that Hamas told Omer before the ceremony. Hamas in the social media writes that this was a spontaneous picture, but Omer says, no, I was strongly asked to do that. And it reads here again that this demand, especially on the head, is another proof of the propaganda that Hamas plans well in order to promote the narrative, the organization's evil narrative. Next is Hisham aside, and for me this is one of the most saddest stories in all of this because Hisham looks like he was in a torture camp, it reads here, for 10 years. Hisham aside was captured in 2015 when he crossed the border. He's a Bedouin from the northern part of the Negev where many Bedouins reside, and he's also struggling with mental illness. I heard one of his family relatives on the radio this morning. They said his situation is not good. It looks like he was in a torture camp for 10 years. and he's speaking very, very quietly. And by the way, there was no ceremony for him. This is because he's Muslim, and Hamas respects the Muslim. And they say, we will not make a ceremony to give him, as a sign of respect. Here we see proof that these ceremonies are just really, really despisable, ridiculous, and are meant for bad. But his family says, for us, every hostage is important. It doesn't matter if he's Jew or Arab, so they're not finding any comfort in that. And the price of these 6 life hostages are 613 prisoners, Palestinian prisoners. 71 of them were sentenced for life, for many life sentences. This article shares a few stories of just a few murderers, who they killed, what year. There's some quotes of family members that are of the victims. But I'll share with you Amar Isa al-Zaban from Shechem. He's one of the prisoners that's released. He's sentenced for 26 life sentences because he killed 16 Israeli citizens. He was involved in many terror attacks. He was executing many terror attacks. One of them was in 1997 in Jerusalem in a market where 16 Israelis died and 178 Israelis were injured. Many of these prisoners are released to Turkey, to Azerbaijan, to Jordan, to Egypt, but to Qatar. And Egypt is kind of a middle place between the transfer of them outside of Israel. And we hear that Jordan doesn't want to receive them. Turkey doesn't want to receive them. Suddenly they don't want to receive these freedom fighters that they usually support. Israel is there's a problem now with the prisoners, and many of them are returned back to Gaza. We'll end with this article about the terror attack that happened Thursday night, where 4 bombs were placed in buses, large buses, public ones. 3 of them went off and blew up the buses. 1 of them did not go off. So it says it's a mirdaf. There's a chase after the terrorists. What's concerning are 2 things. One of them, that the terrorists were able to place these bombs. And the word place in Hebrew is lehatmin. Lehatmin is from the word matmon, which is treasure. So it's to place them cleverly or secretly, kind of deeply. So they were placed, and that's a concern. Another concern is that it seems like some Jewish Israelis are involved in this too. That's perplexing. That's very, very rare. The chances are high that this is from Tul Karem. Tul Karem is where the IDF is operating right now, quite heavily for the last several months, because on one of the bombs there was some revenge Arab writing that signed off from Tul Karem. I will share with you the personal story of the one who is in charge of finding these bombs. It's 26-year-old Adi from Bat Yam. She's a dental technician. And she sat in the back of the bus Thursday evening when she saw a white grocery bag under the seat in front of her. And she kind of looked closely, and she sees some Arab writing in it and some unidentifiable things in it. And she was debating with herself whether or not to report it or not. Is it suspicious or not? So she decides to go ahead, and before she got off the bus, she reported it to the driver. The driver reports to the police immediately. 2 stops later, he parked in the bus lot, this big bus. He gets out and it blows up. Now the miracle is that the 3 buses where these bombs were placed were completely empty when the stopwatch of the ticking bomb went off. So this is it's a very big miracle. Here on the left they read Yesh gvul lekamut hamisim. There is a limit to the number of miracles that Israel can receive. They're saying how was such a miracle that there were no injured people. And this was very timely because this was a day before the hostage release, and this could have blown up the deal easily. Here in this picture is one of the buses that has blown up and is in flames, basically. This is it for today's newspaper. It's a very hefty one, very big one, and Israel again is full of waves now of sadness and of joy And on Thursday, we'll be receiving another 4 dead hostages, and that will seal the last phase of the first stage of this big hostage release deal. And this war is just ongoing for so long. So thank you for standing with us. Please comment where you're watching from. What are you praying for? What do you think about the second stage of the deal? Would love to hear that. Thank you for standing with Israel and sharing this with your friends. Please like it if you liked it. This is Rotem Magen for All Israel News.